Hello everybody on this Saturday. Well, you're probably not going to see this till Sunday, but I'm doing it on Saturday. I took a notion I wanted some eggplant Parmesan, but I do mine a little different than most people do. I use yellow squash and eggplant. It's great when you got a lot of both maybe coming in out of your garden. It gives you a chance to use both of it up. So, I've got cheese here. That's going to be for the coating and the topping. But I'm just going to go ahead and peel my eggplant. Oh, I cut down into the seeds and I didn't mean to do that. I meant barrel. See, I just cut down too much off of that. I meant just to cut a little bit off of the top to get the peeling off and not cut down into the flesh of my eggplant. But this will work. An eggplant turns dark real fast. I'm going to get my trusty Japanese knife out to do my slicing, and I cut it about a ½ inch deep. And that somehow came out right. And I'm just going to see how much of this pan this will cover. Just for the heck of it, because I don't want to fix too much. And I've got little buddy at the door. So help me God, I don't know what I'm going to do with this kitty cat. He's a sweetheart, but he gets on my nerves sometimes. He hears me talking and I'm doing a video, and he's got to come in. He's always got to come in. Now on the yellow squash, I don't usually peel it. He's only been in 6 or 7 times this morning. He'll come in because he thinks he's going to get a treat when he comes in. He realizes he's not going to get one because he's already had 2 treats this morning. He realizes he's not going to get it and he'll want to go back out. Well, about 45 minutes later, he wants back in thinking he's going to get a treat if he comes back in. So I've got a spoiled kitty cat, y'all. I don't know what I'm going to do with him. He knows he can scratch at the door and he's going to come in. But see, we kind of mix it up. I use eggplant and squash. And I think it's only going to take 2, because really I've got, let's see, what pan was I going to put it in? Oh, this one. And it's probably going to be way too much for this one. Yeah, it will be. Yeah, I think I'll leave it in this metal pan. We'll just cook it in that. I'm trying to squish it in here and see if I can, because I've got to cook it, and And what I may end up doing with these is cut them thinner so I can cover the whole top with it. That's what I'll do. The thin ones, I'm going to make a whole layer on the top. The thicker ones are going to be on the bottom. And I think that will just about do it. See, little buddy, you weren't missing anything. You weren't missing anything. He's walking around looking around right now. He thinks I'm talking to Lucky, and Lucky's not in here. Lucky's outside. Now let's see if this will work. But this is a great way to do it. Yeah, I can spread these out a little bit. And I may even take one of these, I think. Yeah, I think that'll work, and I can fix it right in this pan. So this is a good way to use squash and zucchini. If you're, going to be fixing this squash and eggplant Parmesan for maybe one person or two people. That way you don't have an overabundance of this stuff. So what I'm going to do now is just take it back out. I'm going to do my thin ones last because I know those are going to go on the top. And I'll do my eggplants and just a little bit of the squash that's cut thicker. And you could have cut them a little bit thinner. But, that's up to you. Most of the time when you fix the eggplant Parmesan, it's at least a ½ inch thick or close to that. This one is a little bit wide, thick, so I'm going to cut that one in half. I think the other ones are fine. Now, what I'm going to do, let's see. I'm going to use a plate. Let me get these peelings off my counter. Put them in the compost bucket here until I can take them out. Put this over here on the stove. Now, first of all, I got my breadcrumbs, and this is just a sleeve of Ritz crackers, and I put them in a baggie and I just beat them up. I just took a jar, like my drinking jar. If you don't have a rolling pin, some people don't make biscuits or anything. I just took a jar like this and hit it down like that. And so it takes a little while, but you can do it with just a jar or anything that has weight. And I'm going to put that right in there. I'm going to add Parmesan cheese. And I've probably got about a ½ cup. I'm going to add salt and pepper. You can season to your taste. That's up to you. ahead and mix this up. Your little buddy's over there laying down on the couch now. I guess he's content. He sees he's not going to get a treat every time he comes to the door scratching. I mean, he's spoiled. Thank God Lucky's not spoiled like that yet, and I hope I don't get him spoiled. I mean, I don't know what made him think he could scratch on the door and you're supposed to open it and let him in, but he does. Now that's that, and let's see. I have to have a bowl for flour. Let's get this one eggplant out of the way. Not eggplant, but squash. I'll use that in another recipe. Flour. I got to get me a little bit of flour. And, you know, you'd only need maybe a half a cup or so of flour because we're just going to use it to batter our bread a little bit. I mean, our eggplant and our squash. Probably about a cup or so, maybe not even quite a cup. And then we're going to need another bowl for our eggs. And I'm going to go ahead and use 2 eggs because I got quite a bit of, well, I may just use 1 egg. And if I use all of that and need more, I can break the other one. I'm going to add just a little bit of milk. You know, I always use evaporated milk. Beat your egg a little bit. Yeah, it's probably going to take 2 eggs. I'll go ahead and put it in there. I got quite a bit of squash and eggplant here, so. Now I'm going to start out with just dipping my eggplant in flour. Then I'm going to dip it in the egg mixture. And then I'm going to put it directly in my crumbs mixture. My Parmesan cheese and my cracker crumbs. Just coat it real good. And you know, I'd really like to put this in the frying pan when I do this. Oh well, we can do it this way. I'll do it all and then put it out on a plate and then take it over and, whoops, almost forgot the egg mixture. And I always get my hands in it. You know, I can't do anything without getting my hands in it. It would help if I'd use a fork. I got one there to do this with, but I put my fingers in it. I always do. Just coat that real good. All the way around. I'm going to go ahead and wash my fingers off, and maybe I can keep from putting my fingers in my bowls. I'm a creature of habit, you know, just stick my fingers in there and get it done. Yeah, little buddy was ready to come in and take a nap. I'll show you where he's at. Look at that spoiled kitty. Now, isn't that spoiled? It's a beautiful day outside. And he'll probably go outside when I go out in a little bit. But right now, he's inside. Yeah, this is the cleaner way to do it. So you don't get your hands all in all of it, you know. Let it get on the fork and not your fingers. Just cover it good with all that mixture. And I probably didn't need quite that much flour, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. You probably only need about a half a cup of flour. I mean, I still get my fingers in it, don't get me wrong. But it's just a little bit easier a way of doing it. I guess you can't see me here in this egg mixture. I just cover it up good, pat it down a little bit. Roll it around the edges, flip it over, and if it needs more, put it on there. Oh, it smells so good. Those Ritz crackers and that Parmesan cheese. Yeah, see, I've already got my fingers back in it. I can't cook without getting my fingers in it, y'all. What's wrong with me? I'd rather not get it in the egg mixture, but oh, those are going to be so good, y'all. This eggplant Parmesan is going to be so good. Squash eggplant Parmesan. You know what? I'm going to put this in here. And then I'm going to put it back in the egg mixture because I didn't take the skin off. and it's not wanting to stick on the edge, so put it back in here. I want the coating a little bit thicker than that, and you can assure the coating sticks everywhere when you put it in the flour, put it in the egg mixture, and then stick it back in the flour, and then back in the egg another time. I really should have took the peelings off, but I didn't. I mean, I still could, just on that squash. I'm a creature of habit. I usually always cook my squash with the peeling on. If it's a little squash and the peeling is real tender, I never peel it. Let's see. I may just go ahead and do that right quick. Most of the peeling anyway, off of the squash. And you might want to do that when you first start it. That way you don't have to do this like now. Because I wasn't thinking about that when I didn't peel it. Because you can eat the peelings. But it doesn't make a very pretty disc to fry when you can't get the cracker crumbs or the flour to stick to the edge of it. Yeah, it'll just take me a minute to get this done. You always run into this kind of stuff. Because I'm not going by anybody's recipe for this. It's my recipe. And it would have been perfectly fine not to. I've got a piece of eggplant. Yeah, I'm turning this around. I don't know if you can see, with my fork in the egg so I don't get egg all over my fingers. Just coat it good. Coat it real good. And I do it around the edges too, just for good measure. I'm getting flour in my flour. And you might have to turn it around in the egg a couple of times to get that egg to coat on there. I probably need to put this back here, put this up here, so you can see both of my bowls. Man, I got a lot of a lot of squash here left. Go ahead and get that stuff covered up. And I got 2 pieces in here. Get that one in. And you notice I got one fork in the crumbs and the Parmesan cheese mixture, and I got 1 fork in the egg mixture because it kind of coats up on your fork. Whew. I got to do some arranging here. I'm not going to be able to get all this on here. It may even take more than 2 eggs. Like I said, I'm cutting my own recipe down a little bit because I don't want to make a great big casserole of eggplant Parmesan. I just want a little bit. And using 2, you know, the eggplant and the squash is plenty. Or if you prefer to do it, you can use 2 eggplants or you can use 2 squash. It's totally up to you. It's yours. But I like to mix it up if I've got them. I'm getting flour in the flour. I already tell you, I know this is going to be good. I've had it before many times. And it is good. But it's a great way to use up squash and zucchini in your garden if you've only got a little bit of each. I got me a pile going here, y'all. I think they're fixing next door at the new house. I think they're fixing the frame rebar and stuff like that. They already put rocks down for a driveway over there. They laid a few blocks of grass. Not through the whole yard, but right up close to the yard. They're probably going to put grass seed in the rest, which will be a lot cheaper. See, y'all, I get my fingers in it. I can't help it. I can just do such a better job with my fingers than I can with the fork. That I have to get my fingers in it, y'all. This is barely going to be enough egg. Just barely. But that's okay, then I don't have any to throw away. I didn't waste any. I got 3 more little pieces over here. Just put your egg mixture, just pile it on top of your pieces of squash or eggplant. And then just squish it down on the top. That makes it stick even better. Oh, I'm sorry, I had 4 pieces. But I still think it'll be enough. I'm not going to crack another egg just for 1 piece. So there you go. The egg mixture's getting kind of thick, but that's all right. Maybe it'll stick on there even better. We just about used all of our crumbs too. Which is good because I don't like to waste a lot of food. But this is actually the way I cook, y'all. I get my fingers in it and I'm not prim and proper with cooking. I'm not a professional cook, that makes videos. This is just my kitchen. My country kitchen here. Get up some more of that egg on this little piece. More egg I can get on there, the better I'm going to like it. They're going to be good, y'all. Good, 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 good. Now that's all of that. Throw this little bit of flour away in the trash can. Put all that. A little bit of peeling in there with the crumbs, because that's going in the compost. This is going to be washed out before that egg gets to drying and sticking to my bowl. And we are going to do just a little bit of cleanup over here before I start frying these. I got flour and crumbs everywhere, y'all. And got it in my dish drainer. But, that can't be helped. I've got a little kitchen. Got flour on my cabinet door. Now we'll leave that there, and we're going to come over. Whoops. And I will move the camera so you can get a better view of what I'm doing. I can get the camera over here without destroying it. Parmesan cheese. Now I've already got some, about 1/4 of an inch of I don't like the way that lit. Now, I've already got some olive oil and bacon grease in my pan. And I'm just going to spray a little bit of butter flavored cooking oil right in my pan. And that's probably way too much, but hey, I like butter. Also, while this is cooking, while I'm frying the eggplant and the squash, we're going to turn the oven on to 350. Make sure I haven't got anything hidden away in there, which sometimes I do. And I need another plate, because you know we cut some of them thin and they're on top. They're the first ones that are going to be fried. And I want those on the bottom of this plate so I can put the thicker ones on the bottom of the pan, if that makes sense. And I had one of my light bulbs burn out last night, and it made my live a little bit dark. And I never got around to replacing the bulb, so it may be a little dark in here right now too. I don't know. But this is going to be something good, y'all. Okay, what did I do with my... That's not it. You know me, I always forget something. I had to get my... Now you can use marinara sauce. You can use a tomato sauce that you've made. Anything that you want to use. Plain tomatoes even. Spiced up tomatoes that are cooked. But what I'm going to do, I've got a jar of this pizza sauce. And I'm going to use my pizza sauce on my squash and my eggplant as the sauce that goes on it to cook it. I think it'll make it just a little bit more spicy than just regular marinara sauce or just a tomato sauce. So that's what I'm using. I had flour spilled on my table, y'all. Okay, so we're gonna... Yeah, it's hot enough to start frying them. Try not to get my fingers in there, because that grease is hot. I want that on top. There. I'm going to try to fry all the real thin ones first. And if you'll go ahead and cut your little pieces thinner than I did, you'll have enough without cutting more in half. But that's just the way it ended up with me. So rather than cut up open that neck squash, I just decided to cut the slices a little thinner, just for enough to go on top. And it's going to take a bit to fry all this. Oh, you know, in the meantime, I'm going to slice up my mozzarella cheese too. I've got basically fresh mozzarella cheese. It's not grated, that I'm going to be using. This is a sharp little knife, but it only cuts on the curved section on the inside right there. This side is kind of dull, and I always forget when I go to cut with it. And I'm probably going to need my knife here. I bet you've never seen anybody do this. And I'm just cutting it in thin slices. And that's one thing I love about this knife, is you can cut in, well, you can't even see what I'm doing here. There you go. I'm cutting kind of thin slices because I want enough of this to go over on my whole well, cheese is not very good to cut because it's so giving, but I'm trying to cut it to where I have enough cheese for this. I mean, this is a whole package of cheese. And that's one thing this Japanese knife allows you to do without your slices sticking together. It's cut really thin slices. And what allows to do that is the ridges up here. It's thicker up here, and it causes the slice to kind of separate from the knife. Now you can use grated Parmesan if you'd like. This is just what I had on hand. I actually had it in the freezer, and I had to thaw it out to use it today. But there you go. Now we'll come over here to my squash that's frying before I burn it. We don't want it burnt, but we want it crispy. Crispy and crunchy. I almost left it in there too long, but that's okay. It didn't burn, it's just got kind of golden brown. Oh, and I'm going to put a thin layer of this sauce right in the bottom. Almost like you're making lasagna. See if I can find my tongs. Don't know where they're at. see them. Oh, I see them now. They're down in here. I knew they were here. But I found a pair of tongs like this. And I got there. Is the best thing to pick it up with. Woo! And see how fast that other side cooked. Now the thin ones, like I said, I'm taking out. I'm putting on this plate because those are the ones I want to go on top. To see how crispy and brown they are. Didn't take long at all. Now I'm going to put some more of these in. Some of these are thick. Some of them, a couple more of them are thin. But I figured maybe having one of the lights burn out, it wouldn't have such a glare. Because usually I'm always have a problem with a lot of glare everywhere. I mean, see how nice they turned out, real nice and brown. That's one thing I like. I like to keep a little bit of crunch in my eggplant Parmesan with my squash. Because I like that little bit of crunch when you bite into it. And you need a hot pan so they'll fry, not just sit there and soak up grease. But, you know, I love to experiment with my food. You know, I like to take recipes, change them up, make them my own, do different things with them. And this is one thing that I did with eggplant Parmesan. It needs to brown just a little bit more. I need a bigger pan so I can cook them quicker. I made me some good old-fashioned iced tea today. With lemon. I love it with lemon. put this thick one now right in my pan because it was one that's supposed to go on the bottom. And this one is too. This is another thin one. Oh, they're smelling so good. I just want to dig into this so bad. I haven't eaten breakfast this morning, no lunch. So this is going to be my meal for today, is my squash and eggplant Parmesan. I may need to put just a little bit more oil in there. There. I hate to have to add oil like that because it cools your temperature down in your pan. But it comes back up pretty quick. Mix it around in there with that hot oil. You want enough oil in your pan so that it at least does half of your slice. You know, it fries it halfway up the side, so when you flip it over, it does the other half. That makes sense. This little piece in the middle was not cooperating with me. Drop grease on my cutting board. Get that up before it drips all the way down the side of it. Yeah, leave in the comments, have you ever tried putting yellow squash or even zucchini in with your eggplant when you make eggplant Parmesan? I mean, hey, you could make a squash Parmesan. Just use yellow squash. I think that would be good too. zucchini might all on its own. I'm not sure, but zucchini is usually kind of watery, so I'm not sure how zucchini would work. I've not tried zucchini like this. I mean, I love to batter it and fry it like this, but I've not tried it in a Parmesan or anything. That needed to stay that way a little bit longer. That big one right there in the corner. And notice I'm not draining this. I mean, if you cook it with the temperature up high enough, it shouldn't soak up a lot of grease. I'll leave that one on the other side. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of more of this olive oil. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. And, you know, you have to keep in mind, they're soaking up olive oil. It's not just regular old oil that's bad for you. Yeah, that'll be good. I think I can get them all in there. There you go. This is one of the better dishes I think that I make. This is going to be real good. I can heat up, you know, I put a little container of kidney beans in the freezer when I cooked them the last time, so I can thaw some of those up and eat it later with this squash Parmesan. And I've still got some of my casserole, my chicken casserole. Turkey or chicken casserole, as I called it, because you could use either one. Yeah, I got to get this done, and then I got to get outside. I've got a new project for the garden that I'm starting. So I got to get that taken care of because I got something else coming Monday for the garden. But I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. You'll have to wait and see. going to kind of push these around a little bit and get some of these little pieces where they need to go to cover the bottom. Oops. Me and my splattering of grease. I'm going to put just a dab of tomato sauce, or the pizza sauce, on the top of some of these. And I'm going to go ahead and start putting my cheese on. Some of the ones that I've already got cooked. That's stuck together. Here, I can put it right here. Let me wash my hands off a little bit since I touched my ear. Now I'm hoping I can get all this in the pan. I'm going to have to get some of these little pieces in here. There. Yeah, just put a little dab-a-doodle of your sauce on top of your eggplant, and then proceed to put your cheese. And I was afraid that this was not going to be enough cheese, but I see that it is. Now we're going to continue on with our eggplant. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to move this out of the way. And this pan's a little hot because I've had hot stuff going in it, so. So just line the top of it with your remaining squash and eggplant. It should cover it really good if I didn't goof up on my measurements and stuff. I just had to taste that crumb. Now, I'm going to put the remaining just put like a spoonful on top of each one. Or you can even put a little bit more on this because it'll just drip down to the ones below it anyway. But I don't want to put so much sauce on it that it makes everything soggy. I don't like it soggy. And now we're going to finish with our cheese. And I'm definitely going to put a drip pan under this. That was just the right amount of cheese, was that one little package of fresh mozzarella. Get every bit of it off that board. Get this out of the way. Now what I'm going to do, what did I do with my other cheese? Oh, I had it right here. I've got a little bit of shredded Parmesan. And you could have layered this too. I forgot to put it on, you know, in the layers. But you could have put it down in the layer too. You know, layered it with your sauce, your mozzarella cheese, and then a little bit of this grated Parmesan on each layer. That would have been even better. It just depends on what you want to do. I think that'll be plenty right there. Now, let me get my drip pan before I put it in the oven. That's one reason my sheet is so ugly looking. It's been well used. You know, I use it to make pizzas in. I do it for biscuits sometimes if I need a real big pan for biscuits. But I use it like this as a drip pan also. So anything that boils over gets in my pan and it burns it. I really need to buy some new ones. Keep the old ones for drip pans like this and use my new ones to actually do my baking in. maybe I'll do that. But now we're going to put it in a 350 oven. And it's only going to be cooking for like 10-15 minutes until the cheese melts and starts to brown on top. You don't want it to burn. But drip pans like that have been a lifesaver for me. I'm setting the timer at 11 minutes. And I forgot to put my basil on it. But you know what? That spaghetti sauce has enough. It has basil in it. So we're good with the basil. We don't need extra basil in there. But if you have fresh basil, it's good to sprinkle it on each layer when you cook it or when you put it together, and then sprinkle a little on top. I don't have fresh basil. I've got dried basil, but I may put a little bit on top. I mean, I can do that. As well use my basil because I've got it, you know. That's why I dry it, so I have some to use for sauces and all that kind of good stuff. And I dropped the basil in the drip pan. That was some of the biggest pieces of it too. But like I said, if you want to, you can, and you have the fresh basil or either dried basil, layer it on each layer just like you do the sauce and the cheese and all that, as well as the Parmesan. You can layer that too. But I feel like my crumbs that my eggplant was battered in has enough Parmesan in it that I don't really need to add more unless I really want to. Because that pizza sauce already has basil. I'm going to go ahead and wipe up the stove top just a little bit. But make sure your oven's hot. It's preheated at 350 degrees. It's about time for me to wash these racks that go on the top of the stove. Yeah, you can experiment with your food, you know. You don't have to go right by any recipe that's given to you. If you see of a way that you can tweak it, make it your own recipe, do it. You might like it. You might like it better the way you tweak it rather than just going strictly by the recipe. Have some iced tea with me. Homemade iced tea. And this is some more of that, and my jar is sweating, so it's leaving a wet spot everywhere I put it. I know, I got some coasters over here. I made these little coasters myself with yarn and little plastic mesh. They come out pretty good. Just the right size to put your drink on. So if the jar is sweating, you know, it catches the moisture and it doesn't start dripping across the table. Well, I'm going to go ahead and clean up some of my mess here while we're waiting for that to cook. Yeah, you always got a mess to clean up no matter what you cook. You've always got dirty cooking dishes and prep dishes and everything. I mean, you can't cook without doing that, so that's a given. I have the biggest time with this little piece on the end of my tongs here. And for goodness sakes, be careful with your knives if you're hand washing your dishes. Back when I was subbing at the school, the high school, there was one kid had his hand all bandaged up. And I asked him, I said, what did you do to your hand? He said, I was helping Mama wash dishes. He said, I was trying to help Mama by washing the dishes. We don't have a dishwasher. And he said, I just threw all the dirty dishes in the sink, filled it with soapy water, and just started washing them and rinsing them and putting them on the drainer. And he said in the process of putting my hand down in the sink to wash dishes, I just grabbed some silverware, which I thought was silverware, but I grabbed a knife too. And he said, I sliced my hand open, my fingers open with that knife. I said, oh my goodness. I said, that's one thing. I said, you learn real fast when you hand wash dishes, especially if you throw your knives and your dishes all in there together, is you learn real fast. Be careful of the knives that are there because they do cut. They will cut. And I'm going to get a little bit more ice and put in my tea, because my ice is melted and I want that tea to even my Parmesan here. There you go. It only took, I'll put another piece in. Yeah, 2 pieces will do it. Yeah, it'll be probably Sunday morning before you see this video. I don't know if I'll get it posted tonight or not. Oh, that it's looking good, y'all. It's only got about 2 more minutes. We may have to leave it in there longer because I left that oven open and a lot of that heat got out. Putting that basil on there, which I shouldn't have done. I should have taken the dish out, put it on the stove, closed the door, kept that heat in, and then put it back. But you know me, I don't go by the rules, not when it comes to cooking. I never have, never will. Well, I'm sorry, I said 10 to 13 minutes. 25 to 35 minutes is what it says. The baking time should be. So I'm going to put it back at another 15 minutes, and we'll bring you back in 15 minutes. Okay, people, my alarm went off, so it's been in the oven for about 20, 25 minutes or so, maybe 30. So we're going to check on it, take it out, and see what's going on. I'm going to leave it in there just a few more minutes. It's not quite as brown as I'd like it. But in the meantime, I put on another pot of tea. And you can see this is the way I make my tea. I fill the maker up with a pot of water. I put 2 tea bags in my pot. I put it under there just like I would coffee. And then I turn it on. And, you know, I don't put any tea up here at top. My tea bags are down here. So by the time it stops dripping, I have iced tea, y'all. All I need to do is pour it in my pitcher, add a little bit of cold water, and I've got homemade iced tea. And it does it perfect for me every time, because I don't like it real strong. Now, the only time I do fix it real strong is if I'm going to immediately pour it on ice, because if it's real hot when you pour it on ice, it dilutes it down to practically water. So, but any other time, I just make 2 tea bags, regular tea bags now, not family size, regular tea bags. 2 regular tea bags, put it in there, let it drip, let it set for a few minutes and do its thing. And it's plenty strong enough. And I didn't get my shade back to my candle. I've been cleaning the kitchen while I was waiting for my Parmesan to cook. And I noticed my little shade was a little dusty, not bad, but it was a little. So that sits over my candle. And I always like to, since I usually keep it on my counter or on my kitchen table, I like for it to be pretty shiny and clean, not dusty. So I'm happy now. It's shiny and clean. I don't want it to burn, but I want it to brown just a little bit more. It's going to be good, y'all. I can't wait to dig in. Cannot wait to dig in. Now I cleaned up my kitchen, washed my dirty dishes, my cooking dishes, and put me on a pot of tea. But you know, I bought one of those regular tea makers that they came out with, which is similar principle to a coffee maker. But the you put your pitcher up to it. It don't sit on the base like your coffee pot does. And I found that in making the tea, it just went, you got water everywhere. It made the biggest mess. I took it back to the store and got a refund. And I bought me another Mr. Coffee Maker. I can make my coffee in that, rinse it out, clean it out good, and then make my tea as well. And it doesn't make a mess on my counter. So that was somebody trying to copy the coffee makers by coming up with a tea maker. And you don't need a separate tea maker. Just use your coffee pot like this. Wash it out good. Put your tea bags in your pot, fill it up with water, and turn it on, and you got coffee. You got iced tea in a little bit. I had mentioned earlier that to let it cook for, what was it, 10 or 15 minutes? And that was nowhere long enough. I need to wash my gloves. I got cheese, melted cheese, dried on my gloves. That's not going to work. I need to wash them. I wish I'd have thought about it. I'd have thrown it in my washer, because I've got a load of clothes in there already that I just washed, but I didn't think to put those in there. Next go round, I'll put them in there. I get over anxious, y'all. I always do. But see how my tea's making? It looks like I'm making a pot of coffee, but it's not. It's iced tea. And this is what the pitcher I put it in. And it's kind of stained from the tea. Even though you wash it, the stain doesn't come out sometimes. But I put like a teaspoon of Sweet and Low in there. That's what I sweeten it with. And then I just let it sit there for a few minutes after the water stops dripping. And let it steep for a few minutes. Just like you would if it was in a teapot. Or you can make hot tea this way. Just make you a pot of hot tea, pour it out as you want to drink it. Or if you got a lot of people, you've got a whole pot. I've got 10 cups of iced tea in there right now. So if you wanted iced tea, that's the way to do it. Because I found if you get tea too strong, it gets bitter. Oh, yeah. It's starting to brown a little bit. So I can take it out at this point. I don't want it to burn, so I'm going to take it out at this point. And I'm going to plate me up a little bit of it, because I'm starving, y'all. I am starving. Let's see which is the best thing to get this out with. Probably my metal spoon. There. Because that'll cut through the... But I want you to see this before I cut it. Look at that. Squash and eggplant Parmesan, y'all. Now you can let it brown a little more than that if you want. I don't want to, because then I'm running the risk of burning my cheese. And I don't want to burn my cheese. I'm just dipping right down in there. Oh my goodness. Woo! And that stringy cheese. Got stringy cheese. But But look at that, y'all. Eggplant and yellow squash casserole, or eggplant parmesan. Yellow squash and eggplant parmesan. How good does that get? Oh, it's hot, hot, hot. I know, but I got to try it. Let's come sit down over here at my table. Get me a paper towel because I'm probably going to need it. There I go. Make sure I got my oven turned off. Oh my goodness, y'all. I died and went to heaven. Look what I got in front of me. Oh my goodness. I don't even know which end to start on. This crusty crust and the cheese is probably the place to start. But you know what? I want to dig into my squash and my zucchini. I mean, not zucchini, but my squash and my eggplant. I think that's an eggplant. I think it's both because it's 2 layers. I've got eggplant on top and I got the yellow squash on the bottom. Look how good that looks, y'all. And it's steaming hot. Dear Lord, bless this food I'm about to eat and bless everybody in YouTube land. Amen. It takes a little bit of time to cook it and bake it, but it's well worth it. Y'all. Oh my God. That is so good. Y'all take a bite. And I just dropped some in the floor. I have to get that up before I step on it. Oh my goodness gracious. And that batter we put on it, you know, where we dipped it in the egg and the flour and the saltine cracker crumbs, it's about still half crispy, and I like that. It's not soggy. But you can use the panko crumbs or whatever it is a lot of people buy. I don't buy separate crumbs. I just use my saltine crackers. Just break them all up, and that's my breadcrumbs. Woo! Hot. Yeah, don't do like I just did. Don't put your mouth full of this stuff with it being scalding hot. You will burn your mouth. But that is so good. And you can put more cheese on yours if you want. That's up to you. I used what I had. I didn't have any grated Parmesan, but I did have that block of Parmesan, the fresh Parmesan. That is so good, y'all. I'm going to cool it before I put it in my mouth this time. That is a winner. It's so good. And those breadcrumbs with the Parmesan mixed in with it, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. That's all you need in the breadcrumbs, and they're so good. Well, y'all, I wish you could join me. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish my lunch. And then I've got another project that I got to start. And probably do a video on that as well. But yeah, take you some yellow squash and eggplant and make you some squash, eggplant, Parmesan. You'll love it. We'll see you on the next one. Bye now.